Hello, everyone. It's time for a Sundance interview on behalf of the Kia Telluride. You are watching Collider. We are thrilled to be here and thrilled to be here today with Jim Gaffigan.
Thank you so much, and thank you for giving me the SUV. I guess I get one if I do the interview, right?
You got to talk to the fine folks at Kia about that, but hopefully they'll hook you up.
Just give me the phone number of Mr. Kia.
Well, the one thing I can offer you right now is a Life Water. If you
my
would like
gosh.
that, you can have it.
That is just as good as an SUV.
Life Water and good coffee. You are covered.
I'm excited.
And you need a lot of coffee because you're very busy here, very, very busy. When I found out that I was talking to you, I was going through everything you have here at Sundance, but also beyond. I'm just wondering, like, how is your Sundance going so far? Have you slept at all?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's, look, I mean, I'm somebody who kind of self-describes myself as a lazy person, but there aren't those moments of laziness as of late. But yeah, Sundance is amazing. It's really exciting to have these films here, and we just came from a premiere, and it's you forget how electric a premiere is until you're in there, because otherwise you're like, don't they just didn't kids just watch like an animated movie in this theater 2 weeks ago? But it is special. It's a very special thing. A
premiere, but in particular, I feel like a film festival, and specifically a Sundance premiere. There's something about not just the interest of being here and to explore new movies, but it's almost like a desperation, or at least I feel it, where I need to be here and I need to see everything I can.
Well, I think it's also the audience at a festival. There's an excitement, and there's also they're informed. Do you know what I mean? Like film is a passion of theirs, so you better not have any clumsy theatrical devices. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So to get into your 3 films that you have here, first up, Troop Zero. So at this point in time, not many people out there are going to know what these movies are.
Yes.
So I am going to force you to give me a brief synopsis so that we can catch our viewers up.
Great.
A little. So first, Troop Zero.
Troop Zero is the story of a little girl played by me. No, a little girl who in 1977 in southern Georgia, who is lives in a trailer park community. She's fascinated with outer space, and she aspires to get on this golden record. Where they were going to take this record and have all these recordings, and she wanted to get on that golden record. It sounds complex, but it's very accessible, and so she forms a troupe to get like a Girl Scout troop to win this contest to be appearing on that recording of the album, and they're a troupe of misfits. And their de facto leader is Viola Davis. My daughter, Mckenna Grace, she's the spearheading of the whole thing. And I play a lawyer. Mike Epps is in there. We're a band of misfits surrounded by a group of children that are misfits. And Allison, Janney's in it. And I haven't seen it yet. It's going to be amazing, though. But I think it deals a lot with class. And people staying where they're supposed to stay. And so I think it'll be fun to see.
I need to know about working with Mckenna Grace, because there's actually like a little mini Mckenna Grace fan club at Collider.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, we just constantly talk about her.
Well, Mckenna is, there is an almost maturity to her that is, I've got young children. I've got children Mckenna's age. But Mckenna has kind of a resourcefulness and an understanding of how the world works that is not normal. And by the way, we're shooting in Louisiana in May, which means it's only 120 degrees.
That actually sounds really appealing right now.
No, but she was a trooper, and it's interesting because there's you work with child actors, and some of them seem equipped for the task of acting in films or on television shows, and she's definitely one of them.
She is something else. And Another, I guess, a pair of people that I'm
Yeah.
eager to hear about how it was working with them on this film is Bert and Bertie, because
Yeah.
when I think about a list of directors that I guess would be on my must-watch list at this
Yeah.
point, they're on it, and I am just dying to know, what is it to you that makes them stand out?
Well, I think Bert and Bertie are a very, compelling partnership. I write a lot of things with my wife, and so I'm familiar, and I've done movies with other teams of directors. But Bert and Bertie are it's kind of reflected in just them wearing hats. Like they embrace the eccentric. They're fans of the eccentric, and there is a sweetness and an independence to each of them. It's very hard to articulate what's so engaging about them, because they create a mystique when they're together. But if you met them individually, they're fantastic people. But the power of them together is greater than them individually. It sounds strange.
It sounds like what would be required in a directing team.
It's because I've worked with other directing teams. It's also very interesting because they alternate days of directing.
Huh.
But, and that's not to say during rehearsals they aren't doing it together, but there's a synergy there that is, because I ran a show with my wife. It's like, and this is the woman that I'm married to, and so that communication, even in the closest individuals, is not there. But they'll communicate with each other, but there's a civility. One's South African, one's British, and there's like a civility that is almost kind of strange, but amazing.
I imagine something like that also has a great effect, not just on the ensemble in the movie, but it probably trickles down to every single department.
Yeah, and well, the thing is I saw that movie as it was really hot. I mean, look, hearing an actor complain about what a shoot was like is kind of boring. But the thing is they were like, they're tough women so they're resilient. They're going on fumes. It's unfazing them. They're still civil and polite and calm. And as we know, fish rots from the head, right? And so they're a really interesting group. And they're also kind of like this like force of light. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of positivity.
That description.
Yeah.
And I think we need more of that
on
every movie.
Definitely.
Your next one,
Yes.
Them That Follow. I'm fascinated by this idea for a number of reasons, but in particular, it's about snake handlers. You could probably add to that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you read when it comes your way and you're like, I got to get involved with that movie?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think saying it's about, because it's weird, because it's like in Them That Follow, I play a father. Olivia, Colman, and I have a child who is not in this community, this devout community that is, interprets a line in the Bible to believe that they should work with snakes. It's not a judgment of. What I loved about what Britt and Dan did is that movie is not an indictment of like these crazy snake handlers. It was just about this is what these people believe in. It's authentic that they believe in them, and so you watch it, and the movie ends up being about this coming of age story for Thomas Mann and Alice, and also Caitlin, but what really it's so like the snakes are they're an interesting element of the story. But it really has to do with, I think, about parental relationships and also about people coming into their own when they're teenagers. Like, what type of person am I going to be? Am I going to have my father and my mother determine who I am? Or am I going to go out and see who I want to be.
Sometimes when you jump into a movie like that, or at least when I watch a movie like that, where I can't necessarily connect to the specific things characters are doing, but seeing a different lifestyle will, I don't know, reveal new truths about myself or something like that. Did you have that at all with this story and how they live?
Well, I think with all these films that are at Sundance, you take away something, specifically with them that follow. For me, being the parent with Olivia Colman of this son that is not involved in their religious community, and then they feel guilt, and I guess my big takeaway was, parents have to deal with this strange attachment that they have to let go and let their kids be who they're going to be. So that was the big takeaway there. I mean, in Light from Light is, I think that Light from Light is a story about damaged people can help other damaged people. And then Troop Zero is about, I play a dad who is imperfect, but through the movie he kind of understands his limitations, and so it kind of forces you to take a look at yourself.
Jumping into Light from Light a little, everybody on Collider knows that I'm fascinated by the paranormal and the investigations and everything. So first, what is that movie about briefly, but also did you go in a believer? Did anything you experienced while exploring that story and those characters change your feelings about that?
It's interesting, the paranormal thing. For me personally, I would say I'm a skeptic, but I'm not reluctant. But reading the script, what Paul does so well, and it's also reflected in the film, is, again, it's not an indictment of these people. It's not, the story isn't like these ghost hunters are, rip-off artists, and that's also really reflected in Marin Ireland's performance. She's always good, but she's always good. She's always good. And so she adds a certain vulnerability. My character is relatively reluctant, but circumstances force him to kind of embrace Marin's character and kind of say, hey, I need your help. And so, but it's what I love about that movie is that if you do like the paranormal, you will be fascinated by its treatment of it because it's not dismissive. It's questioning, and there's conversations where they're like, and they're sincere. It's authentic. It's not stunty. It's not. But I don't know. I'm dying to see how an audience responds because it's not going to be Paranormal 4. And it's not going to be a documentary saying this is all bullshit. So it like a lot of good films. It presents a lot of questions, and it's fleshed out characters. That's what I also loved was the 4 main characters. You really kind of get to know them over the course of the movie. There's no broad strokes kind of treatment. Scene by scene, you learn a little bit more, which is fun.
This is the kind of place to show a movie like that. I was talking about it in a previous interview, just this idea of, we play a game called Would You Rather every once in a while, and I spun a couple questions to pertain to film festivals, and one of them was, would you rather go to a festival with a crowd pleaser or a more challenging film? And just the thought of the conversation that I've seen sparked from certain movies that have premiered already, it's like, how do you not go with a bold, daring move, even though I don't want to completely take away the value of a good crowd pleaser?
Yeah. It is, I've been to Sundance before, and there is it's so amazing that the premise of Sundance, which is kind of encouraging people to take these risks and tell these unique stories. It's like, what a generous thing. What a truly generous thing in this commerce-filled world that we live in. It's like, no, we're actually going to reward people that don't do the clumsy theatrical device. And so it's when you're here, you're like, oh, wow, that's a really important thing they're doing.
That is a big part of the reason why I feel so grateful to be here.
Yeah.
And to be able to talk about these movies and hopefully make a difference for some of them, too.
Yeah. It's great to see a movie that you're dying to talk about afterwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's also, so what's great about Sundance is you watch a movie and then you can discuss it afterwards. But I feel like in this streaming age we live in, like I'll watch something and I'll be like, I got to find someone I got to wake my wife up. I don't know. It's like, it's really, there's something about Sundance that is very special. I mean, obviously it's ego-wise, it's great too, but it's also that let's indulge in the nerdier side of our thoughts on it.
Festivals almost encourage face-to-face interaction when you discuss because of the lines and the crowds and everything, whereas streaming, it's almost like it's more of an instant social media conversation, which is not, without its value, but it's a very different kind of an important human interaction that you get to have here on the ground, standing in line, meeting complete strangers and being brought together by film.
It's very fascinating also to see the combination of, we all know that seeing a movie in a theater is better. We all know that there's an excitement about a premiere. But there's also something, at least, there's something about Sundance also. It's like a quarter of the audience, film nerds that are going to be unapologetic. A quarter of the audience is a cast and crew of the film. And then, the directors, sisters, brothers, it's a very kind of family-like thing. It feels almost kind of like an additional family event. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's very personal, and there's we're dealing with drama too.
Well, especially when you're talking about filmmakers who jump into a movie not just because it's another job to take, but who basically give their lives to a movie for however many weeks or months, because then that bleeds out to their whole family, where they become aware and invested, and it's important to be able to share that with everyone.
Yeah. I picked up, today we were going to the premiere for Them That Follow. They picked me up, and then they went and I picked up Dan, who was one of the directors with Britt of Them That Follow. And his family came out of the condo to see him off to his film premiere. And it was the most adorable thing, and it was sincere. And the dad's taking pictures, and I was like yelling out the window, I'm proud of my son. And, just because I can't be. But it was one of those things where, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and there are moments when you're this creative person going on this path where your family and your friends are like, you're crazy. So when you can be at Sundance and have that moment that Dan had, you're like, oh yeah, that's what it's all about. It is really amazing.
Special. Whenever you're passionate about anything, it's exciting to share it with family.
Absolutely.
When I was at New York Comic Con, I got to bring my dad to one interview I did, and it's just that moment. Like, I will never forget that moment of him getting to see me in my element, and just take such great pride in that. It meant the world to me.
No, it means the world to him, I'm sure.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Yeah.
We were talking a lot about the theatrical experience, but of course, streaming is a very important entity in the industry right now, and you are jumping into something with Amazon, which is a big deal and very exciting. So can you tell me a little bit about coming to the decision that we need to set this up and get going?
Well, as you know, a comedian, I've been doing stand-up for close to 30 years. When I started, there was Comedy Central in a version. There was no satellite radio. There was no YouTube. And HBO was pretty important. But as we've gone along, stand-up specials have, first of all, the entire population is educated on stand-up because they can access it on YouTube or Netflix or Amazon now on Amazon. And so there is an educated population that enjoys stand-up, that loves it. And so what we've witnessed in the past couple years has been Netflix having a very steady influence and really kind of dominating where stand-up specials went, because they could pay. These specials could air without interruption, and they're relatively inexpensive to make. And so, as a performer and a creator, like other comedians, we were like, when are these other streaming giants going to step forward? And so I'm thrilled that I'll have the first special on Amazon Prime, and it's amazing. I mean, some of it is I've done specials in different ways, some on Netflix, some on Comedy Central. I did one on my website. It's you always, like, the technology is always moving, and like the stranglehold that HBO held when I started stand-up as the most important destination is not true anymore. And so, and Amazon, they bought a film yesterday for an enormous, they have the pocketbook, they have an incredible marketing team. You can't go to IMDb without seeing an Amazon ad for one of their films, or one of their shows, which is great. So as a comedian, as a creative person, I, like many people, I want people to see what I create, and I want to expand the audience that sees my stuff. And so they were open. They approached me, and it's an incredible opportunity. And it's really interesting because it's in 3 years. It might be a different conversation.
It's so true. It's a fascinating thing to watch. As much as I hold tight to the more traditional viewing formats, whether we're talking about theater or traditional non-binging TV shows, it is kind of exciting to see the wealth of original content that we get now, because there's so many streaming services that are rising up and embracing that, rather than just regurgitating things we've seen before.
Yeah, that's almost like a separate conversation.
Yeah,
because
I could go on and on about that.
I could go on because there's a really, the zeitgeist moves very fast, and there are shows that we were dying to see the second season of that we haven't watched the second season of. That's one of my nerd questions, where you're like, why haven't we watched that? Because there are so many platforms. And I would also say that what I love about Amazon also is there, I know that this is a purposeful step in taking the special. This isn't kind of like, we'll try it. It's like they are very methodical and thoughtful. Troop Zero is an Amazon movie. They make bold, well thought out steps that are supported. So I'm very honored. It
is so encouraging to hear that. We have to wrap this up, but before I do, I want to give every title and then some a shout out. Sure. So Troop Zero, Them That Follow, Light from Light at Sundance this year. Your Amazon special is called Quality Time, and later this year you also have American Dreamer and Being Frank coming out, plus a world stand-up tour.
Yes.
I hope you have a lot of caffeine at your disposal. I hope you get some sleep along the way. But
I love it. It took me 30 years to get these opportunities to complain about. Well, so I'm excited.
Huge congratulations on all of it. And thank you so much for being here today. Guys, thank you so much for watching this interview. Thanks for Kia Telluride to make all of this happen. It is so greatly appreciated. Like and share this video. We will see you soon for more content from Sundance 2019.
Where do I get my Kia Telluride?
Let me get them to pull that up for you.